Are you buoyed by the ruling in South Wales when it comes to the High Court case you're devising, and what learnings have you taken from what they've done down there?
I think it clearly shows that premiers and politicians who are trying to attack freedom of speech to protect a foreign government engaged in genocide are going to be defeated. These laws in New South Wales were struck down as being unconstitutional on all grounds. What we are seeing here, and this is still the early stages of this, and we're still coordinating with legal experts, but we see how unconstitutional this is because our political communication is protected under the Australian Constitution, and we see that as a clear indication these laws are going to eventually be struck down and defeated in the same way that they were defeated in New South Wales, because people in this movement are passionate about justice and equal human rights. They don't want to see little kids being blown out to pieces. They are not going to be silenced simply because there are some words that supposedly offend. We've seen Jewish people refusing for these crimes to be perpetrated in their names. And this is why we have a strong political campaign on the streets and also a parallel campaign that's going to take place in courts.
Do you have a timeline of when that court action could be brought forward?
That will depend on our meetings with the legal experts and also the decisions that need to be made in terms of plaintiffs.
Is it your case both that the arrests yesterday were unlawful under the law as it's written, and also that the law that's a two-pronged thing, right? You're saying A, the law was improperly applied, and also B, the law is illegal, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. So we have seen yesterday how these laws are impeding on people's ability to exercise our constitutional right to political communication, and the events of yesterday proved how far-reaching these laws are. So they're clearly impeding on our rights to political communication, and this is the basis that we're going to launch this constitutional challenge on. And again, more of this is going to be disclosed in the next few weeks. We are still talking with legal experts, and because of what we have seen yesterday and also over the past few weeks, it is clear that these laws are not protecting Queenslanders. They are at odds with the Australian Constitution, and we're going to take it further to the High Court.
There are some signs behind you that are very clearly defying, in their own way, the laws. Is this sort of how you will continue this protest, as in skirting around the phrases as written in the legislation?
Yeah, so look, we're not going to be silenced. On Friday, we had a Fancy flash mob where all of us sang like the 80s rock classic and said the phrase which is similar to the banned phrases. And according to the police yesterday, similar phrases are not captured by the legislation. So really, it is a stupid law that I'm not allowed to say, from this body of water to this body of water, but I'm allowed to say between the river and the sea. How stupid these laws are. They're absurd, they're not going to silence us, and people are going to continue communicating the same message of equal human rights and justice.
You shed more light on the events of yesterday. How were the people treated when they were arrested? How long were they held for, and how are they doing now?
Yeah, all those arrested were released by 10:30 p.m. I have heard of some inhumane treatment while they were in the cell, and that includes things like lack of privacy, also being roughed up, whether during the arrest process itself or even when they were in the cells. But these people, again, they are passionate about human rights and justice. And as long as there is genocide, as long as there is complicity from our own government and active and ongoing genocide, active and ongoing support, materially and politically, all of us are going to keep speaking.
And are any of them here today, do you know? Do you know if any of those arrested yesterday?
No, they're not here. One of their bail conditions, or the only bail condition, was for them not to come to the rally today.
Will Justice for Palestine be assisting with their legal challenges?
Absolutely. We are their client, basically.
Were all arrests made in relation to the use of the phrase?
Correct.
And was it in regards to that phrase between the two bodies of water?
All of them, yes. I mean, the absurdity of these laws that we're not even allowed to talk about what happened yesterday because we are fearful of getting arrested because someone is asking a journalist is asking a question about something that happened yesterday. This is how far-reaching these laws are, that I'm not allowed to answer a question. You're not allowed to ask a question about phrase. This is absurd. This is absurd, and they've gone too far.
Was Scarlett Squire did she allegedly say the phrase? I was when she was arrested, I didn't say it.
My understanding is that she was displaying the phrase.
Do you believe so we're talking about the expressions element here, but there's also a symbols element. Do you
Yeah.
believe the symbols element is also unconstitutional? You challenge that as well?
Yes. However, we're not taking this case.
You're not
What?
saying- you
Yes,
believe it's
justice for-
unconstitutional, but you're not.
Yes. Yes. I think maybe another group is going to be taking the symbols part of the law, because in my view, this is even more dangerous, given that the confusion around symbols and how people can be easily criminalized on things that they don't know whether or not they are criminal in the legislation.
You said you're not going to rest until these laws are repealed. How many more people do you think are going to be arrested until that day comes?
Look, I don't know how many people are going to be arrested, but what I know for sure is that Christopherly has passed some reckless laws and that people are not going to be silenced. This is a coordinated campaign, which means that we meet together and we don't discourage or encourage people to be saying any of those prohibited phrases, but what we do is that we ensure everything is strategic and coordinated and that people have an understanding of how the laws work and the consequences and basically the limits of what we can support with as JFP.
This morning, Christopherly said that he encourages people to protest about their passionate views, but just don't call for people to be eradicated. What is your response to that?
My response is that there are children who are being blown to pieces as we speak. There are a Palestinian child, 18 months old, toddler, was abducted by the Israeli occupation forces just a couple of weeks ago, and he was tortured right in front of his dad, and he's got cigarettes being burnt on his skin to get a confession out of his dad. This is the disparity. He's talking about things like words. I'm talking about actual human lives that are being massacred on our screens. He needs to get a perspective.